great to see you.
See you too.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here today on campus at Southern Union Community College. President Shackett, thank you so much for having us and being our host today.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your role here as president at Southern Union.
Okay, so I've been president since August of 2018. Prior to that, I spent my entire career in manufacturing, starting right out of high school. Worked as an engineer for several years in the automotive industry, working for General Motors. Transitioned to medical devices about 7 years after that. Worked as an engineer, worked as a supervisor, manager, plant manager, program director, and just really love manufacturing.
Well, it's great to hear about your transition from being on the plant floor to being in management to now being here in your position as president at a community college. Talk to me a little bit about how you think that experience prepared you for this role and your job here.
Sure. So I believe it started when I was a student getting my undergraduate degree. The school I went to required you to be a co-op 6 months out of the year on 3-month quarters. And what I discovered during that process is when I received my degree, I had learned as much during the work experience that I did in the college experience. So I became a big proponent of work-based learning. And when I moved into management positions, I quickly decided to hire co-op students and found that was a great path for getting students, built really strong relationships with colleges. And then when I moved to Alabama 11 years ago, I took on a product line and equipment that was very sophisticated, high tech, and figured out very quickly we needed some specialized skills. Reached out to Southern Union, hired several apprentices, and were very successful in that endeavor. So I built some relationships here. And interestingly enough, I took a corporate role and was approached by the mayor of Opelika to help select the next president. And so I said, sure, I'd be happy to help. Several months went by, I hadn't heard anything from them. Ran into one of the other committee members at the grocery store and said, are you guys going to hire a president? He said, well, we're looking for somebody a little different. And the more we got into it with the work-based learning and the economic development aspects, I started to think about it and I applied and here I am.
You mentioned developing relationships when you were working in manufacturing with some of your education providers. How do you here at Southern Union currently engage with the manufacturing industry here in the area?
We have a very strong relationship with manufacturing. We have for several years. When I came to Alabama, like I said, I reached out to the school, but they had already built relationships with several of the local companies, built sort of a consortium of different manufacturing facilities where we were developing apprenticeship programs, working to develop students, and we maintain that to this day. We have dozens of companies that we reach out to, they reach out to us, we reach out to them, and constantly trying to help each other. We're very connected to our economic development people, our industrial development people. When we have a prospect that's looking at locating to the state of Alabama, we're on the front end talking about all the services we can provide, not only with our own students, but to their employees as well.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the existing programs that Southern Union has that serve the manufacturing sector. Your plastics technician comes to mind.
Yes, that's a big one. So we have, I think, a premier plastics technology program here at Southern Union. It's been here for about 5 years. We have strong partnerships in that industry. In fact, we just signed an agreement with a company out of Michigan that will send their customers to us for training here. We'll be their Southeast Center for that company. We also have a relationship with a injection molding machine company, and they send their customers here 4 times a year. And it's a great field, it's a specialized field, and that industry has changed significantly over the last 30, 40 years, where you do need to have an understanding of how the process actually works, how the tooling works, how the materials work, and that's not something you can necessarily pick up on the job without some type of academic training. That's what we do here.
We're also interested in hearing about your Mechatronics program. You've really got a premier setup here.
That's an outstanding program. So years ago we had industrial maintenance. The technology has evolved over the past several years to any factory you go into nowadays. It's very automated, typically very sophisticated technology. And so you need to know not just mechanics or industry, you need to know electronics too. So Mechatronics is the blending of mechanics and electronics. So in the Mechatronics program, we recently embarked on the FAME program. Last year was our first year. This year is looking very promising. We have over a dozen students this year, maybe even more. So we're expecting big things for that program, and really this will be a good way for companies to build the workforce for the future. These are people that are not going to be technicians, but potentially plant managers, directors. So it's really a gateway to a very lucrative career in manufacturing.
We think that manufacturing is the key to a family-sustaining wage and career for a lot of people moving forward. And we really appreciate the work that you're doing here at Southern Union to pave that way and to be innovative. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for your time, President Shackett.
Thank you, Robin.